Yeah, but Mbeseha, I know you want to react to that, but maybe I should ask a question that will help you react and maybe add some flesh to what Dr. Lobati is saying there. You mentioned on issues of the difficulties faced by human rights organizations like the Bobala Human Rights. Do you think that activities of these individuals, because I've read some of his reports, where he is also accusing the people of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia the same way Biya is accusing it. There are some who feel that he is just a compromised fellow pretending to be a human rights activist or human rights advocate, probably to help legitimize Cameroon's barbarism in the international community, because he understands that he occupies a great portfolio when it comes to talking about human rights in Africa. Talk to us, Barrister Mbeseha.
Well, I think you ought to know that more than I do. Anybody, in terms of human rights in particular, who wants to operate within that geographical space called Cameroon, you have to operate on the lines of government, or you lose your life. You are very aware of the Mimi force. Though her report is not the best. While she was in Cameroon, she could not even produce what she's doing now. The penalty for doing something the contrary is death. So we have to admit that those people who venture to remain in that geographical space and operate in any form or shape are very, very limited. They take a lot of risk. They can only do so much. But they could improve their job if they have alliances with foreign press, where they send those sensitive reports to them and they are reported from abroad. And that would take me to this mass grave thing. Yeah, when they say he has no mass grave, who believes them in that thing? You think the reporter, maybe it is a French reporter, an American reporter, does he think that he went to Vogada, he went to Bermuda to see mass grave? No, somebody sent the information to them. And they have details of it. I remember that report they gave there in Geneva. They guys say, okay, at the appropriate time, if you give us the permit, if you allow us, we'll unearth the mass graves. They have that evidence there. And just carry it with what happened with those women in the north. Those reporters who reported from France and the UK and so on, that no, you actually killed this woman and her children. They were not Cameroonians. They had that evidence kept there, sent to them by some reliable people. So they are mass graves. When they make the allegation against you, know that they have evidence. The good thing about it is you cannot kill a mass grave. Sooner or later, when the President Bob Biya's regime is no longer there, somebody will come there, they will unearth those mass graves. They are there. The second point is that we should all know that this, you don't expect them to come there and accept that they did something wrong. They will tell you a story. But sometimes in telling their story, they really incriminate themselves that they have no way to escape. Take the Ngaribu issue mentioned herein. They told the story of Ngaribu. They went there to unearth weapons, which they were reported there. International law and even local law prohibits the use of vigilante. If those stories were true, the people you take to go and take the weapons are experts in weapons, not vigilante. The role of the vigilante is not to go and investigate things like that. It is even an illegal organization. And so they tell those lies, are in the process of lying, they incriminate themselves. Yes, they will not admit that there's torture. They will not admit. But before them, in their own very court, Martinez Gozo, what I call him, the charge is killers for complicity to in torture. They
Martinez
are being charged
Zogo.
for yeah, Martinez, they are charged for accomplices to torture in the detention center. So how can they say there's no torture and then they have people being standing trial in their own courts for complicity in torture in their detention centers? And so
Mhm.
Again, they tell the stories and then they incriminate themselves. You just mentioned something which they use all the time. The B, by their own code
Mhm.
here, the B are not judicial police. The judicial police people who are involved in investigations are, by Cameroon law, gendarmes and police officers who, in their normal training, are supposed to have been trained in investigations, in human rights, in civil rights. They are supposed to have followed it because they are going to deal with the civilian population. The B is a component of the military. The B, in particular, was trained essentially to defend the presidency. Brigade intervention rapid for rapid intervention to save the presidency. That's what they are trained for. That's why they are the greatest failure. You send them to Bamunda, send them to Boya. That is not the environment for which they're trained. They're trained to defend a treaty, which is put in a different context. They land them there by air, and they chase whoever is trying to drive away Paul Biya with the expertise that they've learned. But the B today has become part of the security forces. The B as a component of the army is like saying the Navy. The Navy is trained to fight in the sea. The Air Force is trained to fly planes. So you bring planes, you bring an Air Force guy to Batibo or a Navy guy to Lebielem, where there's no river even. How do you expect them to operate there? So they violate their own laws by themselves. And again, it's a question of time. As I was saying earlier, if Cameroon ever respected their own international obligations, signed treaties in good faith, they will not be where they are. The country will not be where it is right now. Let me just give the last example. You know what happened to the duo of Idabato? I said here 2 days ago. That thing is as a result of Cameroon refusal to implement the 2006 Green Tree Agreement. Under the Green Tree Agreement, Cameroon was supposed to go to Bakassi as a bloc, develop the place, put if they're using flying boats there, they have the flying boats there to secure the people who are there, including Nigerians. But what happened? What happened there? Where were these about dual caught? They were taken from a rest house, an improvised rest house. How do you expect a prefect to live in an improvised rest house? Had they fulfilled their own obligation under the 2006 Green Tree Agreement, the duo would have at least had some basic security. But they signed up to it. That agreement was witnessed by the United States, witnessed by France, and witnessed by Great Britain. So these people are just criminals in every form or shape. They are international liars. Again, back to your question, the people who venture to practice in Cameroon call it human rights. Even in the courts, the courts in Cameroon, if you don't do what the government tells you to do, you lose the job. You lose the job. So if you operate in the geographical space called Cameroon, I've been there. You lose your job. I remember, let me give this personal experience. 1991, 1991, when the SDF started, they sought to incriminate Nifrundi that he has stolen money from the Cameroon Bank. And they charged Nifrundi sued them in the Bamenda High Court. And they say, well, we cannot get any lawyer from Bamenda. We'll get somebody from the Southwest because the Bamenda lawyer will come and support their countryman. And so they came to Boya to do for us. And I was one of the people they took from Boya. I went there. They provided us security. We did all what we tried to do. They killed the judgment first. They never paid me a dime. They promised us so much money, they never gave us a dime. What will I do? What did I do? Operating in that space called Cameroon is a prison by itself, a moral prison, a physical prison, an intellectual prison. So for those our brothers who are still venturing to be there, thank them for doing what they're able to do. But we would ask them to improve their job. Because at the end of the day, the next hearing, wherever even in court, it's not you and me who are going to testify. Somebody living there Who gave that information to that reporter that there's a mass grave? Because he knows where the mass graves are. They are already mapped out in those reports. Somebody will testify it. So our brothers and sisters who are still there practicing, kudos to you for even venturing it, for those who do the good job. But try to do it better by forming alliances with foreign press, reputable ones, where we can properly document these things. These crimes are crimes against humanity. They are international crimes, most of which are imprescriptible. Bob Pobia, alive or dead, will be held accountable.